Yes, I've been up all night. I haven't been to bed. So this is part 3 of the video. Um, the last one I did was February 19th, so I've skipped up to March 22nd of 2016. So this is my 3-month anniversary. What a horrible night. I laid and watched the clock. 3 months ago, midnight, his vent was set on 10, but he was breathing at 14 to 16 times a minute, so 4 to 6 breaths were on his own. 1 a.m., it was about 10 to 12 a minute, then dropping to 11 a minute. 3 a.m., my wonderful sister, Susie McGraw, and her family have arrived at the hospital. They find us in neuro ICU, and it is 10 a minute. It stays at 10. They're giving him meds to keep his blood pressure up, so they have to keep his organs well perfused or we won't be able to donate them. I'm laying on the edge of his bed, crying and dozing on and off. I look up and the monitor says 14 breaths. Shock, a rush of hope. They were wrong. He's taking 4 breaths. I look over at the ventilator and they had changed the settings. They raised the automatic breaths given from 10 to 14 to keep him adequately oxygenated. My heart sinks. No spontaneous respirations. By 6 a.m., they do the first of numerous tests by numerous doctors over the next 6 hours to officially declare him brain dead. My sister and I are weeping. There's nothing we can do. I want to shake him and scream, "Wake up, Logan," but it won't do any good. He's still there, but I know he's gone. He's failed the first of many tests. He's gone. I don't know why, but I kiss his warm toes and his cute little knees. I reflect back to the day he was born, and I kiss his little feet and toes. I kiss his cheeks, being mindful not to dislodge the ET tube. The way his head is wrapped, his long brown, still bloody hair is out the top of the dressing. I stroke his hair. In a few hours, brain matter will start oozing out of the top of the dressing. My brother Billy Cook will alert the nurses outside of the door so that I won't hear him. But right now it's just his hair. His eyes are at least half open. They were on and off. They have been since the first time we saw him in the ER, but they were closed for a while. But now his pupils have blown and are non-reactive to light. His eyes were always so dark brown, you can't really tell they look any different. Later today, they'll start turning him to keep his lungs clear for donation. When they turn him to his right side, it looks like he's staring at us. As time goes, his eyes open more, then protrude a little. Increased intracranial pressure, I guess. We have our own nurse. By tomorrow, we'll have 2 RNs assigned only to Logan. An RN is physically in our room about 95% of the time, the entire 3 days. The organ donation people come in and out often. Doctors, sometimes 1, sometimes 4 or 5, come in very often. More tests to confirm brain death, more orders for meds and hormones to trick his little body into thinking he's still alive so his organs don't start shutting down. At 12:21 p.m. today, they will start the last test, the apnea test. My sister and I watch the monitor for 20 minutes. They stop the breaths from the vent and just keep the oxygen flowing to keep him oxygenated. But his CO2 will go up from him not exhaling, and that should trigger an attempt at a spontaneous breath. I stand at the foot of his bed with my arms crossed and stare at the monitor for 10, 15, 20 minutes. My sister feels Logan's presence in the room. I think maybe I do too. No attempt to breathe. My sweet baby is pronounced dead December 22nd of 2015 at 12:41 p.m. By 1:30, I've signed the official papers to donate, and before long, the OR procurement team organizers start coming in. They say some families leave at this point and see their loved ones again at the funeral. No way, I'm staying with my child. Blood is drawn and hand delivered to the lab in Virginia Beach. They say it takes 8 hours for the labs to come back for tissue typing and tests for any diseases. 8 hours later, no results. They test the lab machine. It is not working properly. We've lost 10 to 11 hours. They draw more blood and hand deliver it to the next closest lab with the needed equipment, Washington, D.C. Then they wait 8 more hours for the test to complete. They are doing frequent tests on all of Logan's organs to ensure they're still functioning perfectly and adjusting medications and hormone dosages accordingly. We have to keep his body tricked. The organs think he is just sleeping and all is well. His blood work results come back from DC and we're a go. They notify matching recipients on the top of lists. We're up to 1223. They put a vest around Logan's chest that shakes him for 20 minutes every 2 hours to keep his lungs clear. Echocardiograms on ultrasounds on his heart look good. Kidneys check, liver check. We'll find out later that the medical examiner wouldn't sign off on his eyes being donated so close to the injury site it might disrupt their ability to autopsy adequately. I understand, but he left and it says 8, but it was a 7-page note and still had the gun in his hand when they found him. How much information do we really need to gain from the autopsy? We go home to sleep for a few hours. I ask the nurse to take care of my baby. They assure me that one of them will be in the room at all times and they'll call if there are any changes. He's been legally dead over 24 hours. But I still don't want him left alone. I need a break from listening to his heartbeat with my ear on his chest. I need Xanax, Advil, and sleep. At some point yesterday, my sister stays with him so I could go and eat. Thank God for her. I sleep a couple hours and then get up and call the hospital. A pulmonologist had just done a bronchoscopy and his lungs looked perfect. Guess all that smoking hadn't harmed him yet. Logan and his Newports. They're still trying to find one of the recipients. If he doesn't call back in an hour, they're moving to the next match on the list. Shortly, they call back. They found him. He's on his way to the hospital. Logan should go into the OR at 1 a.m. So back to the hospital we go for our last few hours with him. He still smells like Logan. His feet are still warm. 1 a.m. comes and goes. My heart is breaking. I know they will come for him any minute. I want to kiss all over his face, but I can't because of all the equipment he's hooked to at this time. There's blood on his sheets. His femoral central line got pulled out when they took him for CT scan of his chest and abdomen to triple check his organs. They put a new one in his chest. Thank God it wasn't his art line that got pulled out. They say I can leave when he goes to surgery. I say no. I need him extubated after surgery so I can kiss and rub my cheeks on his face. They look surprised. They've never had that request. I'm having a hard time saying goodbye. They say they'll see what they can do. I listen to and feel his heartbeat. It's 5:05 a.m. Christmas Eve. A huge team pours into his room. It's time. I kiss his toes and off they go with him to the OR. He's gone. We wait. I smoke and drink coffee. Cry on top of Ernie. At 9:30 a.m., they come and get us and take us to a private room in the back of the OR recovery room. No ET tube. His cheeks are cold. I kiss him about 100 times, my tears dripping on his face. His feet are cold. I kiss his toes and the bottoms of his feet. My wonderful husband, Ernie, couldn't deal with this. He left the room several minutes ago. I am alone with my child for the last time. For some reason, his dressing has been removed from his head, and his head is wrapped in a plastic bag from his ears up, covering part of his forehead. I can't resist the urge. I pull back the bag. Oh, Logan, how could you do this? How did you get to this point? It becomes obvious more than ever how much he meant this, how determined he was. I look at the entrance and exit wounds. He was sure about this. He did not do it half-assed. He was all in. I love him. I love him. I love him. After about 10 minutes, I don't want to leave him alone, but I can't take it anymore. I feel like I'm abandoning him. He said in his note he didn't want to be cremated, so plans have changed. Next week, when the medical examiner releases him to the funeral home, we are there just minutes after he gets to the funeral home. I go through this entire process again, this time looking at his incision line all the way down the center of his body. The funeral director remarks what a good job they did closing him, and that usually they don't take that much care after death to close that well. The medical examiner had not reopened the incision during autopsy, I guess because all the organs are gone and the cause of death was beyond apparent. We buried Logan at the end of our backyard at the edge of the wood line. I can stand at my back door and see his grave. I like knowing that he's not far away. He's not alone. He's here with us. I hate it when it rains at night. I feel like I should bring him out of the rain. I know that's crazy. I know it's only been 3 months, but the pain has not lessened. I don't have a new normal. I don't want a new normal. I want my old normal. I want my child back. Nothing else is acceptable. I take meds, I go to therapy. I vent to other mothers of suicide. I just want my child back. I'm ready to go to a psychic or something. Why can't he halt me? I need to see him or talk to him. Not long before this happened, I went to the doctor and had some blood work done and had a mammogram. After Logan died, the doctor called and my cholesterol was high. I simply said, okay, thanks, and hung up. I don't care. I get the letter, my mammogram's abnormal. I need to go for a follow-up. I didn't call. They called and left a voicemail. I didn't call back. They call again and I answered. They were insistent I follow up with ultrasound and diagnostic mammogram. I said, I'm sorry, but I don't care. Please don't call me about it anymore. If I start caring, I'll call you. They haven't called back. I still don't care. I want my child. I love my husband, my parents, my other sons, my grandchildren dearly. But I almost don't care if the world stops spinning. I try to remember there have been and still are many people in worse situations than mine. I should try to be grateful. It could be worse. I don't care. I want my child. I lay here in bed hearing news of bombings in Brussels. The world is crazy and I want my child. I barely sleep and was crying within 1 minute of waking up. I want my child.